All right, hello wine drinking people. Today is Friday, April 30th. We're celebrating our 13th year in business starting tomorrow under my regime here at the Wine Watch. So, congratulations to us. All right, what I drank yesterday. We had a pretty good day in the store yesterday. Started out with JT. He had some pretty nice French things. He tasted me on a couple things for the second time. JT, I only need to taste a wine one time, but I guess he thought since I didn't buy it, he should bring it in a second time. The Picpoul, still a decent little wine. The Charvin Côte d'Aron, still nice, still a little bit overpriced, but the star of the show were the Charvin Chateauneuf de Pape's, the 06 and the 07, a blockbuster. Killer wines. We'll definitely have these wines in the store, and we're going to be showing them at our Southern Rhone tasting coming up next month. Well, tomorrow's next month at the Tower Club, which is always the second Tuesday of every month. All right, so some good stuff. You can check that out. He also brought a couple of California wines by, really earthy, really Bordeaux-like, really dry on the finish. These Amizetta wines. If you like that kind of stuff, check out their review there. Next up in the store, we had the owners of a small Côte de Blaye property. And this brought me back to fond memories of my travels to Bordeaux. And being in a small bistro, you find a lot of these wines at about $6 to $10 a bottle. And that's the only problem with these wines, is they were about $15 a bottle, about $5 over what we'd normally be paying for these wines over in Europe. Very nice people, nice little examples of Côte de Blaye. By the way, they're changing this appellation, the naming on it, just for those of you that weren't confused enough about French wines. This appellation is now going to be called Blaye Côtes de Bordeaux. So the other 5 côtes will also be changing their name in suit, like the Côtes de Castillon will be called Castillon Côtes de Bordeaux as of the 2009 vintage. All right. Like I said, some interesting wines, but a little overpriced. You can check those out, especially the 2000 vintage wine, which was nice. It's nice to have vintage wines like that, but we're selling that as Spirit de Chevalier for cheaper, and it's a classified growth. So this is a Côtes de Blaye. All right. Then a good friend stopped in, Michael Trillo, who's the winemaker for Sequoia Grove, and I've been touting Sequoia Grove since Michael took over full control with the 2002 vintage. I think this has become one of the top wines made in Napa, and Michael alluded to some changes that were going to be happening coming up this year on his visit earlier in January when we did a winemaker dinner with him at Cafe Max. So some very exciting stuff coming down to the pike. The 2007 vintage, which we tried yesterday, is the first year. They did away with the reserve program. They kind of molded these two wines into one to make a better product out of their Napa, and they're not raising the price. Of course, they are going to be coming out with a limited production reserve wine, about 300 or 400 cases, called Cambium. In the very near future, it'll be the 2007 vintage will be the first release of that wine. So keep an eye out for that coming up. We will be one of the few retailers in the country to get that. As we've been on board with Sequoia Grove for the last couple of years, Cheech was our ambassador. He went out there and visited the winery a year ago. Okay, and that's pretty much it. You know, I had to rest up because we've got the Olympics of wine drinking coming up this weekend, the Great Wine Seminar, which begins tonight with our Chateau Yquem vertical. I did have a little bit of wine open after our cooking class at Cafe Max at home, the 2007 Broncaia Tray, which I wanted to see how this plastic cork wine would do on its third day. And I have to admit, it was still pretty good after 3 days. I don't like the plastic cork, but the wine was still pretty good. Maybe not 93 points, though. The 2005 Stratton Loomis Cabernet from Napa Valley, really nice, still on its third day, very open, softened up quite a bit. This 2005 vintage, great vintage out of Napa Valley. And that's all I had last night. I had a blood test this morning, so I had to keep it a little bit light. We don't want the liver enzymes to get too excited. I'm finishing up the week today. We're going to do another show for you for tomorrow because I'm going to be out of town. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, for the Wine Watch, signing off, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.